She became a legend even before she reached 35, Queen Louise of Prussia, stunning, courageous, and deeply admired. But who was she before she became an icon? A young girl from a small principality, born during a time when revolutions were sweeping across Europe. And what became of her children? March 10th, 1776, Hanover. In the governor's palace, Louise, Auguste, Wilhelmina, and Amalie were born. Their father, Prince Karl of Mecklenburg-Strelitz, governor of the British king. Their mother, Friederike of Hesse-Darmstadt, just 24 years old. Louise grew up in a large family, surrounded by siblings, security, and warmth. But the happiness didn't last long. In 1782, the mother dies at the age of only 29 during childbirth. For the 6-year-old Louise, it's a deep shock. 2 years later, the father remarries, his sister-in-law Charlotte. For a short time, warmth returns, but she also dies after giving birth. At 8 years old, Louisa has lost 2 mothers. How fragile life is. In 1786, the family is split apart. The brothers stay with their father, while Louisa moves along with her sisters to live at their grandmother's house in Darmstadt. Marie-Louise Albertine, smart, enlightened, determined. She offers the children something quite extraordinary. Freedom, no rigid court etiquette, but nature, closeness, informality. Here, Louise can be a child again. A new woman enters her life, Salome de Jolieu from Switzerland. She follows Rousseau's ideals. Love over strictness, patience over severity. For Louise, she's teacher, confidant, and surrogate mother. A bond for life. Louise is lively, charming, and impulsive. Young and shy, people call her. But she is also rebellious, hard to control. Even as a child, she fills every room with her presence. She keeps a diary and writes about minor offenses and gentle punishments, about her thoughts and feelings. I took my lessons, but not well, she writes. We had to copy 2 pages because the first one wasn't good. I'm very dissatisfied with myself. The curriculum is strict: French, religion, dance, piano. But Louise is not a model student. Mistakes, impatience, backtalk, and yet she wins hearts with naturalness. In Frankfurt, she visits her sister and experiences a new world. Therese has been married to the future Prince Karl Alexander of Thurn and taxis since 1787. Frankfurt is a free imperial city, a hub of trade and culture. Here, Louise discovers a whole new world, encountering citizens who have gained prosperity through trade and commerce. Less by birth and rank, more through achievement and education. Especially impactful were the visits to the home of Katharina Elisabeth Goethe, the poet's mother. The vivacious, educated woman hosts an open salon where artists, scholars, and interesting personalities gather. Here, Louise experiences an atmosphere of ease that thrills her. The early losses lead her to God. She develops a deep and personal sense of piety. No external coercion, but inner strength. True greatness, she writes, lies not in glamour, but in humility, duty, and serving others selflessly. Under Salome de Jolieu's loving guidance, Louise grows into a strong personality. The gratitude toward her governess will accompany Louise throughout her entire life. Even as queen, she will write to her. Never, my dear Jolieu, will I forget what you have done for me, and my whole life I will bless you for it. March 1793, Frankfurt am Main. Louise was 17 years old when she met the Crown Prince of Prussia. 5 days later, he proposes marriage to her. Not a decision out of love, it's politics. On Christmas Eve, 1793, she will marry him. Her youth comes to its end, and the inevitable destiny of a queen begins. It is winter 1793. Louise and her sister Friederike are traveling to Berlin. By their side is Countess Sophie von Voss, strict, experienced guardian of court etiquette. For Louise, accustomed to freedom, it's a shock. Berlin, 170,000 residents, Prussian rigor, not grandeur. She is welcomed at the city gate. Even here, she shows her way of being, warm-hearted and unconventional. It is Christmas Eve, 1793. Louisa marries the Crown Prince. 2 days later, Friederike marries Prince Louis. The celebrations are considered a fresh start. Louise performs the Forbidden Waltz. The people absolutely adore her. The court grows more displeased. Louisa trips over the court's strict rules. Too much joy, too much ease for the rigid ones. Yet she finds friends like Louise von Radziwiłł and wins over her people not through pomp, but through her genuine humanity. Friedrich Wilhelm, 22, shy, taciturn, soldierly. No brilliant speaker, no charmer, but privately, he seeks closeness, simplicity, family. My husband, my wife, that's how they refer to each other, walks without an entourage. Visits to markets, a revolution for a royal family. Instead of pomp, they seek the simple life. In Paris, they join farmers for the harvest festival. The people see this couple as different. Closeness over distance, family over court duties and obligations. In Paris, Countess Voss misses the grandeur of the summer retreats. Only over time does the older lady grow to value the new rural lifestyle. Berlin artists lay at Louise's feet. Poets, painters, sculptors, they are all captivated by Louise's grace and her new style. Artists like Schadow capture her and Friederike in the famed double statue. A cult around Louisa begins. She is not just a princess, she becomes a fashion icon and a beloved figure. Berlin, winter 1793. The 17-year-old Crown Princess Louisa is at the start of her new life. Barely married, a heavy duty rests on her shoulders. She is to secure the Hohenzollern dynasty. Every pregnancy is awaited with great tension. Every birth is a major event for all of Prussia. Only a few months after the wedding, Louise becomes pregnant. The hopes are high. But the child is stillborn. For the young woman, it's a deeply traumatic blow. In a letter to her brother Georg, she writes, "Oh, if only I could write to you about my child, but all I can tell you is, it was beautiful. My tears are choking me." The deadly childbed fever spared her. She survived. And even here, she shows a strength that will characterize her entire life. In 1795, she gave birth to Friedrich Wilhelm, who would eventually ascend as King Friedrich Wilhelm IV. 2 years later, Wilhelm, the first German emperor, was born. With these two sons, the dynasty was secured. A total of 10 children came into the world. Charlotte, later the Tsarina of Russia, Alexandrine, Karl, Marie, Albrecht. She loses 3-7 reach adulthood. She doesn't see each child merely as a prince or princess, but as an individual with their own personality. The Crown Prince's palace fills with kids' voices. One child is born and another pregnancy starts. And yet, this family is different from all those before them at court. Louise breastfeeds her children herself, unusual for a princess. She plays with them, tells stories, sings songs, comforts them when they cry. The subjects admire her. In a time when the bourgeois family ideal emerges, Louise embodies it, right in the midst of the royal household. Yet Louisa isn't spared. She loses 3 children. Little Friederike's death in March 1800 hits hardest. At night she weeps for her child. By day she smiles for the ailing king to lift his spirits. Her faith carries her. She sees God's plan in everything. That's how she endures the heaviest blows of fate. Brave, God-fearing, yet never without a tender heart. Louise has clear views on her children's upbringing, humble despite noble birth. They should understand that their rank is not just a privilege, but also a duty. She teaches them that true greatness does not lie in titles, but in character. It only has value if it is exercised justly, and that a king is obligated to his people. At the same time, she wants her children to have a childhood. She lets them play, laugh, and be carefree. In a world where royal children are often pushed into etiquette and protocol early on. Louisa arranges the children's rooms, stocks, toys, and books. In the evenings, the family gathers to read, chat, and play. Friedrich Wilhelm joins in, explaining the world to their sons and readying them for their roles. Together with Louisa, he creates something new, a royal couple that is not just rulers, but also father and mother. Even the critical Countess Voss has to admit the Crown Prince couple lives domestically and happily. The euphoria at court is welcome as the times of Frederick the Great are over. Prussia's glory fades. In 1793, King Frederick William II returns from an unsuccessful campaign against France. He polarizes. His lifestyle invites scorn, 2 secret marriages, many mistresses. Behind closed doors, they refer to him as the notorious fat scoundrel. Summer 1796. For the first time, Louise returns to her childhood home. Her father Karl is now the Duke. Unexpectedly, she arrives in Hohensiritz. Karl, a friend of the arts, has transformed the castle into a magnificent estate. Especially the gardens in the English style captivate Louise. Yet, amidst all the beauty, there stands a monument to his deceased wives. A place that evokes in Louise the painful loss of her mother. November 16th, 1797. Friedrich Wilhelm II dies at Marmorpalais.
Das Reich erwartet Ihre Führung.
Wir übernehmen die Verantwortung.
His son, Frederick William, only 27 years old, succeeds him, unprepared, but with the firm resolve to restore morality at the court. By his side stands Louisa, now queen. She is just 21, brimming with energy and a strong sense of duty. And she is needed like never before. Napoleon ends the revolution and builds a new kind of monarchy, militarily ruthless. His armies forcefully advance into Switzerland, Italy, and the Empire. Prussia sticks to neutrality, a protection that grows thin. In 1801, Tsar Alexander I ascends, the Russian throne, officially neutral, unofficially seeking alliances. Europe is rearranging itself. Memel, June 1801. The king meets Alexander I. Louise waits for the Tsar. He kisses her hand. She inclines her head, as Russian custom demands. A cheerful mood, long rides, private talks. The Tsar firmly pushes for an alliance. After 6 summer days comes the farewell. In 1805 Berlin, Alexander I arrives for the state visit and keeps his distance. Was the warmth tactic a calculated charm for an alliance? Louise leaves the hall in tears. And yet, an image of significance emerges. In the crypt of the garrison church, at the coffin of Frederick the Great, Prussia and Russia seal the alliance with a handshake. At the negotiating table, Louisa is left out. Politics is a man's affair. Friedrich Wilhelm later notes that she had no direct influence, and yet she judges clearly, yes, with healthy, pure reason. The cup is completely full. Louise labels Napoleon a moral monster. On October 9, 1806, Prussia officially declares war. The people cheer her on loudly. Napoleon makes her the leader of the warmongers.
Es wird alles gut.
Frederick William is 11, William 9, Charlotte 8, Carl 5, Alexandrine 3.
Da draußen.
They sense the tension in the palace, whisper in the corridors, serious faces. Late return of the father. Louise shields, consoles, holds life together. 5 days post-war declaration, double loss at Jena and Auerstedt. Over 30,000 dead. The king flees, the court flees. Napoleon marches through the Brandenburg Gate into Berlin. The city is occupied, the nobility is gone. Soldiers are quartered, supplies dwindle. For Louisa, a humiliating escape to the east begins, torn away from her family, overwhelmed with fear for her children. Louisa arrives in Königsberg via Auerstedt, Weimar, very sick with typhus and nervous fever. Napoleon advances. "I would rather fall into the hands of God than into the hands of this man," she says, and sets off for Memel. Frost, snowstorms, the Curonian lagoon, barely passable. After 3 days, they arrived. Surprisingly, she's feeling a bit better. A carriage wheel breaks along the way. The kids are tired, hungry, and crying. Louisa points to the blue flowers in the field. Cornflowers. Wilhelm I remembers it decades later. "When I look at the lovely blue flower today, I believe I see the tears of the most faithful of all mothers glistening brightly, a truly timeless image for eternity." In Memel, later Königsberg, the kids felt their parents' helplessness. The king, who can't accomplish anything. The queen, who is forced to beg for mercy. Friedland secures Napoleon another victory. Tsar Alexander has to negotiate. On a raft, the emperors meet. The King of Prussia watches from the shore. While Louisa travels to Tilsit, the children stay behind in Memel, in fear. Countess Radziwill conveys Louisa's words to Napoleon. "I am a wife and mother, and as such I commend to you the fate of Prussia. I appeal to your generous heart, a sincere request, not a trick." Napoleon compliments her elegant attire. Politically, he stays tough. The Peace of Tilsit tears Prussia apart, territorial losses in the west and east, the Duchy of Warsaw, the Kingdom of Westphalia emerge, reparations, continental system, empty coffers, a country on its knees. Berlin, December 1809. After 3 years of flight, humiliation, and struggle, the royal family returns. Festively decorated streets, cheers for Louisa. She is home again, but no longer the radiant young woman who once conquered Berlin. The years have left their mark. At 32, she is visibly marked by illness and deep exhaustion. No one yet realizes she has only a few months remaining, time to gather her strength, keep her children close, and seek peace. Since fleeing, her health declined, constant breathlessness, a recurring illness. Probably a severe lung condition, perhaps tuberculosis. Medicine can do little to help. To her brother, she writes that the climate in Prussia is more detestable than words can express. "My health is completely shattered." The planned summer in Bad Pyrmont is off. Prussia's coffers are empty, and Napoleon's 2 brothers are there now. Instead, a trip to Neustrelitz to their father Duke Karl. Even their grandmother from Darmstadt is there. Countess Voss, over 80, accompanies them. To her father, Louisa writes, "I am glowing with joy and sweating like a roast." June 25th, 1810. Louise arrives in Neustrelitz. The king intends to follow. Soon, they move on to Hohensiritz Castle, the summer residence of the Duke, the place of happy childhood days. Louise goes for a walk, talks with her father and grandmother. It seems as though she can recover. June 30th, 1810. The planned trip to Rheinsberg is cancelled. Fever. The country doctor sees pneumonia. Not life-threatening. The summoned royal physician also reassures at first. July 16th, suffocation attacks. Countess Voss sends couriers to Berlin. Before 5 a.m., Friedrich Wilhelm III arrives, with his 2 eldest sons in Hohensiritz. 4 hours later, Luise passes away. She was 34 years old. The news spreads like wildfire. Berlin is in mourning. Bells toll. People fill the streets. The Queen of Hearts has sadly passed away. The funeral procession makes its way to Berlin, to the court, to the children, to the people. Farewell to a woman who was more than just a queen, a symbol of both hope and pain. But what ultimately became of their children? As king, Frederick William IV aimed to modernize Prussia. Constitution, more rights, a united Germany under Prussian leadership. Much remained a wish. 1848 overwhelmed him. The unification failed. Wilhelm I fulfilled the dream of unity, not through liberalism, but through order and strength. In 1871, he became the German emperor. Even in old age, he placed cornflowers on Luise's grave in Charlottenburg. The lovely blue flower reminds him of that day of escape. In 1870, before the war against France, he lays it down once more. Prussia erases the disgrace of 1806. Germany is unified. Charlotte marries the Russian heir apparent Nicholas in 1817 and becomes Tsarina Alexandra Feodorovna in 1825. She lives out Luise's legacy in a foreign empire by caring for the poor, hospitals, schools, and staying close to the people. She too knows suffering, lost children, illness, the constraints of the court. Alexandrine becomes Grand Duchess of Mecklenburg-Schwerin. A quiet, content life. Karl becomes a general and politician. He fought in the liberation wars. Marie lived to witness the founding of the German Empire. Albrecht, the one who recalls Luise the least, rose to become a general. The world changes. Luise's real legacy lies not in stone or medals, but in her attitude. True greatness arises not from power, but from love for children, the people, and the country. And that a queen kneeling in the grass, gently picking cornflowers, has the power to bring comfort to an entire nation.